My name is Marko Drobnjakovic. I am a documentary photographer from Belgrade, Serbia, former Yugoslavia. The work I do mostly consists of long-term format stories, but some editorial assignments as well. And the first prompt question was about establishing trust when going into new places and meeting new people. I think what's of crucial importance there is just taking your time, being patient, especially with new people. And I tend to talk less and listen more. I also, because I'm a sort of a large person, I need to be careful and aware of my sort of body language. But what I do to make up for that, if I'm not dealing with a situation that is tragic, with tragic consequences, is I use humor. I think humor is a great tool for documentary photographers, not just to establish trust and establish just a little bit of humanity between you and your subjects. For example, when people are tense around me and when they ask me in a sort of a tense way, "Hey, who are you working for?" If I want to diffuse the situation, I would sometimes say that I'm a photographer for the Playboy magazine, and that I'm there to take their picture. And sometimes that can diffuse the situation that would otherwise be tense. When people see that you have a sense of humor about your own predicament, I think, and especially if people see that you're not taking yourself too seriously, I think then they can relate to your sort of humanity and they can let you work a little bit better. Before I go to new places, I read a lot. I think every photographer will probably tell you the same thing. You call your friends. You call friends who are close or near or in the same city that you are visiting, and you try and milk them for information. Basically, you try and get outside experts' help in conceiving the general idea of what your work is going to look like. And once you get to a place where you're going, what I usually do is I just take long walks. Sometimes I take long walks without my cameras or my apparatus for filming. I just look at people. I just try to get the general sense and the general idea of an atmosphere in a place, if there is time for that, of course. When there's no time, you just have to basically juggle 5 things at the same time, which is a part of our job to be journalists and photographers. I have long adopted like a defensive way of thinking about my own safety and security. So I like to think that I'm a methodical sort of person. So if I have a set of problems in front of me, I will first do some thinking about it, and that's just the way I am. I become mindful of the small details that surround me. Whether it's locking my door or keeping my shoes in a place in which debris cannot fall in them, or stuff like that, helps me achieve sort of a higher level of security. That being said, sometimes in the field there are some things that you cannot really control, and there are some places in which you are going that you don't really know what awaits you. You do your best not to take any unnecessary risks. So that is something I pay strict attention to. Not just my own safety and security, but I keep telling myself, just to reassure myself and others, that the safety and security of others is just as important as my own safety and security. And to be honest, I will gladly miss a few pictures or a few days of filming or taking images if that means everybody is absolutely safe. I don't like, maybe when I was younger, I used to think that, some things, if you miss some things, that's like an insurmountable loss to your career. I really don't think that anymore. I've seen all the pictures I wanted to see, and I've taken all the pictures I wanted to take. The pictures that I am waiting for are the ones that I've never seen before, and I'll be happy when I get those. What do I tell students, and what kind of advice do I give them? It depends on very many things. I usually try to accentuate the mistakes that I have been making in my own career, because I've never had a mentor or anybody who would sort of help me in the practicality of our jobs. So I go out of my way to make students understand that if you don't think critically, that your mistakes will be systemic, and that's the main thing that you should probably avoid in your documentary photography and your practice. The universal advice I give to all my students is to not to think reactively to a situation, but to do active thinking at every point and every juncture of their career, especially if they're in the field, if they're far away from home, if they're feeling uncomfortable, if they're shooting something that's taking a lot of their energy, not to forget to think actively, not to react to situations, but rather to take pictures about something than to take pictures of something. That's, I think, the biggest mistake that I've been making throughout my career. I, for example, spent 3 years, almost 3 years working in Iraq for the Associated Press as a photographer and a photo editor during the US occupation and the conflict in Iraq. And I have gotten a lot of strong pictures from those situations and instances just because it was a hostile environment and a conflict situation, and emotions, of course, and the tragedy of the situation was enormous. But at the end of the day, when I look at my pictures from Iraq, I have a bunch of single pictures and not a coherent story about a specific angle or a story that I would be proud of from the Iraq conflict. That's because I was thinking reactively. And I engulfed myself into that situation. I worked a lot. I thought to think about photography, to think about framing and composition would be enough, and that the ideas would come to my consciousness later. But that doesn't really happen. You have to think about the bigger picture of your own work, and the bigger picture of what you are doing at that moment. You have to keep it in your head at all times. If you're going to do something consistent from a place, that's what you need to do. You need to think about what you will do with these pictures in about a year or 2 or 3 years once you have more images and more substantial images that can create a story. If you don't think about that while you are shooting and while you're in the field, then I'm afraid that later on, things don't fall into place by themselves. But also, one of the greatest mistakes that I've been making, which I rectified later on in my career, is not writing about my photography privately. Nowadays, I do have my little black book and I journal. I keep my memories sort of in check, but I'll try and explain my sort of mindset when I was younger. I had excellent memory, and I thought I could recognize any picture I ever made in my life. I could never forget a face or a picture or a name. And I thought, why would I journal? Why would I write about my own stuff when I'm taking all these pictures, and pictures are there to jog our memory. So why would I write? I can remember all this stuff, but guess what? After a few years, your memory goes sort of sideways, and you can't remember all these things, all these details you've been remembering in your youth. So my sort of memories that I didn't capture with photography are gone, and I can barely remember these details that I cherished. So my advice to students would be, please write about your photography. Please do a small journal. It's not as easy as hard as it might seem. At first, it might be a little bit harder, but I guarantee you, in a week or two, you will be you will get accustomed to writing about your own photography. And I think writing about your own work, writing about your own concepts and ideas, is probably the only way I know how to develop complex ideas, complex photographic works, and put them into context. I think writing is an essential part of a photographer's career, especially when it comes to long-term projects or personal projects that some photographers might be doing. And I think writing about your photography, writing about your ideas is, I think, equally important as the quality of your images.